Welcome to today's craft session. Today's craft session is an interesting one for both adults and for children. If you have children at home who are not so busy right now, here is something they can do very easily, and as an adult you can use this same technique to make your bag handles, belts, all sorts of things. It's just your imagination that will just limit you. So this is a spool loom. The spool loom follows the same technique as French knitting, and in this case we have several more pegs to go around. So to work with the spool loom, please drop the end of your strand through the center of the loom, just like this. And then for your first row, you wrap the thread around each peg, going in an anti-clockwise direction. So you hold on to one end along with the body of the spool loom and go right round. So you just go right round, and after going right round, you come back to where you started from and you repeat the same process until you go round and there are 2 loops on each peg. So when you've gone round and you have that, you now take your hook, your loom hook, and flip over the lower stitch. You know there's a groove, right? Can you see the loom? There's a groove there. So the hook can easily fit into that groove, and then you use it to flip over your yarn. So you just go on, you just flip over the lower part of your yarn over the upper part, and this way you just go round. So you just keep flipping it over. It's a repetitive process until you've gone right round. Alright, now the whole idea of the spool knitting is that to start your knitting, you have to have 2 loops on each peg, and when you've gone round, you should have only 1 left. Now if you happen to have about 3, you know that something is wrong, and of course if you have 4, you know that something is very wrong, not with these simple basic stitches. So now this is something you just continue, and then the weaving actually happens in the center until you can see it coming out from the bottom. All right, so of course if it's a belt you are making, in this case you will have to measure and take note of the waist measurement and the inches you have, and also take note of the extra inches to add. Now if you are working 12 inches and you want something longer afterwards, that is another 24 inches. All right, so as it is, this is a very simple technique. It is a repetitive technique, and it can be both soothing and relaxing. So you keep on doing this until you've gotten your desired length, and once you have your desired length, you have to work it off the loom. Okay, so we just keep doing this. All right, just keep doing this until we've gotten our desired length on the loom. As you can see, we've gone far on this, and there are different ways of ending your work. All right, but before we end it, we're just going to work 1 more row on this. So you go round, wrapping your thread around the pegs, and then you go in with your hook. Can you see? So we just do this until we have just one loop on our pegs. So we're going to go again. So after doing this, we are going to work this off the loom. Now there are different ways of working it off the loom, but one very easy way is just to take your yarn and go right round on top of the previous stitches, and then you flip over what was there before. Then so now once we are done with that, we are going to take our needle that's after getting an extra length of yarn, so you put it onto your needle and pass it through each groove. All right, so you just pass it through and come up. Now go into the next groove underneath, come back on top, so you just go right round like this, and once you have done this, you can now take off each of those loops on the peg and you can draw the thread. That way you're not going to lose any stitches. The stitches will all come together. So this is another way of ending it, and when you've ended it this way, you can then decide to put a tassel. You can decide to end it in different ways depending on your choice, but this way you have a belt. Your knitted belt, you can make whatever. It could be a knitted belt, a bracelet, whatever you want to make. It's actually ready for you to use this way. So again, this is a technique for the spool loom. You can use either side of the spool loom. You can see we have two sides, so you can use either side of it depending on the size of what you want. And what we have here, you can see this sample using the t-shirt yarn. You can see how compact the handle is because we used the t-shirt yarn. Using this other one, we used the yeye yarn. You can see how snug together the stitches are. Then look at this one. We used the Madeira thread, which is very light, and look at the effect it has. It's very soft and shimmery. Now this is also something you can achieve using the spool loom. Now the type of yarn using this while using the spool loom determines the effect you get. Now this is a way to keep your children busy, whenever they need to have a creation time. It is very worth your while to have this at home for them to use. This is available at Crafties, and you can pick it up and give the children some assignments to do. just to help them, you know, make sure they are in control of what they are doing, exercise, some necessary self-control. You know, sometimes children just go and binge some things online, you know, and then they get tired, they get bored. But we can help them by regulating when they have their craft time. That way they can achieve more, and also it will make it possible for them to it also makes them happy and make them aware and present. So please join us again next week, where we are going to have something exciting again to share with you. And from all of us at Crafties, it's bye for now.